Be a part of the best pro wrestling podcast today by supporting the Going In Raw Patreon. You can enjoy access to the live taping of the show, exclusive merchandise, and patron-only episodes, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today. Click the link in the description. Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome to Going In Raw Countout, the only pro wrestling podcast we know of where wrestling stuff is counted down in a fashion that we go from 10 to 1.
That we know of.
Yeah, we're available here at youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Also available wherever fine podcasts are available, including iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We also have a Patreon where you guys can kick in to support the show.
Yes.
Larson, name a Patreon tier.
$20.
$20. It gets you a comic book that I'm damn near, almost done, finished. Well, it's getting there anyways. I've got like another page to go.
Cool.
But it's getting there. Okay, so here we go. This is the most shocking, bloodiest moments in pro wrestling. Now, there are a lot of really bloody matches in the world.
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, you can pretty much look at any Combat Zone wrestling match.
Yeah.
And that'll be as bloody as any of these.
Yeah.
So these are more like mainstream matches.
Famously bloody matches.
Famously bloody matches. Things that happened and had an impact or were just kind of shocking to see.
And also we have
shit that we really like.
Also we couldn't choose just one Ric Flair match because he bleeds.
Oh, I know.
So easily.
Yeah.
And often that honorable mention for Ric Flair.
Yeah.
He would more or less get his own entry.
Ric Flair. I originally, I think when we were putting this together, I originally simply had the name Ric Flair as an entry.
Yeah.
He could definitely get an entry all to himself. The man bleeds literally as he walks down the ramp. He starts to bleed, and he bleeds profusely, and it's amazing. So,
yes.
I mean, there are any number of Ric Flair matches you can choose from. Terry Funk.
Yeah, as I say, looking through here, there's not a Terry Funk match any longer. We had a couple options for Terry Funk matches. In the end, we decided to go another direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, Terry Funk and Mick Foley.
Terry Funk was like literally the guy who invented the hardcore wrestling.
Yeah, more or less.
Like he in back down there in Texas, they kind of invented hardcore wrestling, and then I forget who it was who came to Texas, and a Japanese wrestler came to Texas and then took it back.
Oh, the guy that did
the sickle match thing.
Yeah.
Fuck, I forget his name. Anyways, that's on the tip of my tongue too.
But yeah, Terry Funk, we thought about including his match against Sabu, the barbed wire match in ECW, where Sabu had a 10-inch gash in his arm that he taped up.
Yeah.
Also, the match that saw him tag with Tommy Dreamer against Mick Foley and Edge at One Night Stand 2006 was bloody.
Yes.
And I think he actually legit got taken to the back to get looked on because he was bleeding so much. Like, there's worry he's
at Sushi Onita. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry I had to do it at Sushi Onita.
Because he thought he actually damaged his eye.
Yes. Yeah.
Very bloody match. But again, with Terry Funk, there's too many to choose from.
So many to choose from. So they are sort of they
kind of transcend this list.
Yeah. And then there are guys like Necro Butcher, New Jack. I mean, New Jack's on here. He's number one. Anyways, so we want to get that out of the way because people are going to be like, well, what about this match? What about this match?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of matches to choose from. These are the ones that we thought were sort of the most famous, most shocking ones.
Yeah.
We'll go with number 10.
10.
Magnum TA versus Tully Blanchard, Starrcade 1985.
Now, we watched this match as one of our book of the matches back for, I don't know, one of the older podcasts we did with Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching at the time thinking it seemed... We've often said that wrestling fans in the 80s, in the 70s, especially in the South, act like it's real.
Yeah.
And when you watch matches like this, another match later on down the list, it makes sense why.
Yeah.
Because this match was brutal.
Yeah. It was sloppy. It was brutal. Like the screams, because it was an I Quit match.
So there's a microphone in the ring.
Yeah, and just like the screams of like
especially
horror.
Tully Blanchard.
Yeah, they seemed like like everything about this match really felt real. You could see why.
In most matches, wrestlers when they bleed, they'll bleed from the head. But Tully Blanchard had a pretty significant cut in his arm that was bleeding the whole time.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the match, Tully Blanchard produces a wooden chair somehow.
It looks like it's the most. It's the. I'm not gonna say flimsy. What is the most?
It looks like it was out in someone's backyard for about 20 years.
Thank you.
And suffered a lot of dry rot.
Thank you. Yeah, because it was already busted up. It
Yeah.
was already just a beehive of fucking of splinters.
Yeah, and so Tully Blanchard breaks a piece off.
Breaks a giant chunk off.
And it's got a sharp edge, and he tries to drive it into Magnum
and
TA's
it's like
eye.
something out of a horror movie
Yes.
because he's got this thing, and Magnum TA is like holding it back.
Yeah.
And it's like coming down here. It's like,
Yeah.
and the knife is on the eye. And then he's able to kick him off, and then he reverses him.
And then Magnum TA jams the
full
stake
force.
pretty much right into Tully Blanchard's head, and you hear Tully Blanchard screaming, and blood is pouring down his face.
It looks like a snuff film. It looks amazing. It looks so real.
And the crowd is
They're just in horror.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely horrifying, but it was so cool. It was so neat. Let's see here. This is kind of interesting. We got some Scoops notes here from our good friendo, our researcher, Stephen Wild. We call him Scoops. He says, this was interesting. He says, Magnum TA was the face here. And if you watch the match, so this is for the United States Championship, and he wins it.
Yeah.
But you look at him; he looks like a freaking serial killer when he's got all the blood on his face, and he's stalking Tully Blanchard. Both men claim the match is intense, but it was mostly improvised.
That's interesting.
Which is interesting, and it's funny because you even so they do like a second rope atomic drop, and the damn thing looks kind of real. It looks like how you would really give an atomic drop. Like it's kind of sloppy.
I know.
Let's see here. This is in less than a year after this match. Magnum TA would have his career-ending motorcycle accident. That's such a bummer. It's funny because I saw I think, I don't know, I was watching some old WCW from, I think, 88, and they were advertising whenever their pay-per-view's coming up, and Magnum TA was there, and you could just see, his soul was gone. His soul was just, because he was like, yeah, I'm going to be there, make sure that something happens, and I don't know. But he wasn't going to be wrestling.
Yeah.
But he was still a big star, he had star appeal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this was definitely a match. Starrcade 85, it's on the network. You guys should check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's a good match.
I love this kind of old school stuff because it looks real.
I know.
You can tell why people were so into it.
The main event for this Starrcade was Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes, when Dusty was kind of on his comeback to the main event scene.
Yeah.
Trying to get the belt off Flair.
Also interesting here, according to Scoop's notes, Tully Blanchard now runs a prison ministry, and he'll often show his old matches to the inmates. He claims this match is one of his favorites, is one of their favorites, one of the inmates' favorites. And Magnum TA ended up marrying Tully Blanchard's ex-wife. So apparently they were, blood brothers, and shared a woman. Number 9. Jay Briscoe versus Samoa Joe at Our Best 2004 is a Ring of Honor.
Now, this is a bloody match. When doing research, I heard about this match. I hadn't seen it before. And there was a GIF I saw of one particular moment in this match where Jay Briscoe has his head, he's on his stomach trying to push himself up, it looks like. Yeah. And he's face down towards the mat, and you see coagulated blood, like strings. Of blood hanging off his face.
Hunks of blood, basically.
And so after seeing that, I was like, okay, this match is going on.
He gets a huge gash, and I'm almost positive Samoa Joe tries to open it up further because he keeps on ramming his head into the cage, and you see him rubbing his forehead, which already has a gash. It's already bleeding. He's rubbing it up against the cage, and I think because by the end, there's one shot in the end when the match is done, Samoa Joe wins. The ref grabs a ton of towels and wipes clean away the blood, and you see this massive gash.
Yeah, it's a huge gash.
It is ridiculously big, but there's just a massive amount of blood loss here.
Yeah.
It's really gross, really nasty.
And it's interesting to see not only the Briscoes in their younger days.
Oh, yeah.
Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
But also AJ Styles makes an appearance.
Yeah. Looking like the ultimate bro.
12 years ago, almost 13 years ago. It's just interesting to see.
Yeah.
And I like this quote here that Scoops include from one of the commentators. I don't know if we can put this on home video because it is brutal and is really bloody.
It's very brutal.
There's pools of blood all over the ring mat.
Joe's muscle buster is brutal here. He doesn't just fall backwards like he kind of does
like
now.
He almost kind of lays on his butt or sits on his butt when he delivers it, so all the impact is going straight along the spine.
It looks brutal. But yeah. Number 8.
8.
John Cena versus JBL Judgment Day 2005.
Now, this is their rematch from their WrestleMania match, right?
So John Cena had won the title at WrestleMania 21. This was their rematch, and good Lord, it is bloody.
Yeah.
It is very, very bloody. This was an I Quit match. And it's just, let's see, when is the actual cut? There's
according to Scoop's notes here, Cena's head gets split open relatively early on by an unprotected chair shot. This is 2005. I guess they're still doing chair shots to the head.
Yeah.
And he said the blood is gushing, and JBL's boot prints leave it all over the mat, like he's walking through pools of blood.
Well, and also, JBL did this a couple times, I noticed, with a couple different matches back then. He used to choke people.
Yeah.
Like, he used to literally hang people, like, from the ring to, like, dangling from the, like, ring apron area, kind of. Just, like, choke them out with either electrical cord or a chain or whatever. And it looked way too brutal.
This is interesting. Scoop's note. This is the first time the WWE title had been defended in an I Quit match in 6 years since The Rock and Mankind did it, the Royal Rumble 99. Another
brutal match.
Violent match.
Yeah, no kidding. But this is, like, you can see if you Google the term Cena bloody, there is a ton of pictures of him. And there's one, like, famous one. He's holding, like, both belts, and there's just blood everywhere. And it almost looks fake.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that couldn't be real. But no, this is a real thing. He just had so much blood going on. And I love the end, because the end, he made JBL say I quit because Cena ripped a chunk of lead piping.
No, it was an exhaust pipe from a semi-truck.
Exhaust pipe from a semi-truck. And it really appeared that he was literally threatening to murder JBL with this thing.
Yeah.
If you swing this at somebody's head, you're going to kill them.
Yeah.
And so JBL said,
he quits right away.
He said, fuck that business. I quit right now. And then Cena was just, I mean, it was something out of a horror flick. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But it was really great.
It seemed like during this period, kind of the mid-aughts, the WWE just put on a lot of bloody matches.
They did. There were a lot.
2 or 3 more on this list.
On this list, there was Hogan McMahon. That got really bloody. Batista versus Triple H. That was a really bloody match. I think was that at Mania?
I don't think their Mania match was. Well, yeah.
I think it was at Mania.
Yeah.
Triple H bled a lot.
Yeah.
You're right. And then we'll find out why they stopped doing bloody matches in a little bit.
Yes.
Number 7. Joey Mercury at Armageddon 2006. Now, this was like a fluke. It was a ladder match.
Yeah.
And who was fighting? Let's see here.
The match was between Dave Taylor and William Regal versus Paul London and Brian Kendrick versus Eminem, which was Joey Mercury, Johnny Mundo, and Melina versus the Hardys.
Okay.
Teddy Long came out and said that he had something for the fans. Being in the Christmas spirit, he made the bout a ladder match and added Mercury and Johnny Mundo and the Hardys to the match. London and Kendrick win to retain their titles, and I wonder if this was during their
I think so, yeah,
record-breaking title reign.
Right.
When there's a spot where there was a ladder propped up, and it flew forward, and hit Mercury square. It looked like right here.
Yeah, he broke the bridge
orbital bone and nose.
Yeah,
and the blood just poured out.
Like, it's funny because it's obviously sort of a fluke thing, and then he comes back and you just see blood everywhere. It literally just starts pouring from his face. It is gnarly.
According to Scoops here, this forced him to immediately leave the match, and he was rushed to the hospital where he received more than 30 stitches.
That's a lot.
And there's a picture you can find after he gets stitched up, and it's like all here, all stitched back together.
That is fucked up. Like, it's a good thing he can still see, because if that hits actual
I know. It could have been really bad. And of course, Joey Mercury came back as Joseph Mercury to be a part of the Straight Edge Society.
That's right. Yeah.
As led by CM Punk.
Yeah.
Fellow member, Luke Gallows.
Yep, Doc Gallows.
Himself,
according to Scoops, also, this incident with the ladder caused him to become addicted to painkillers, and it was Vince who stepped in and fired him. Fired. Quote, for his own good, Birch credits McMahon with helping him beat his addiction, and CM Punk helped pay off his house when he was low on money. So good for CM Punk. It's another reason why he's in the Going in Raw Hall of Fame.
Yep.
CM Punk.
This is a quote from Mercury about this match. To walk you through it, I got hit in the face with a ladder at a very high velocity. What was going through my mind? The fourth rung.
Yeah. Oh,
a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
Oh, here. Scoops describes the spot. When Hardy hits the top rope move onto the ladder, it seems like everyone is ready but Mercury. He immediately falls and tumbles out of the ring. There's so much blood so quick, and it's all over the ring and outside mats. They replay it 2 or 3 times, including a slow-mo of his bloody face.
Yeah. That's nasty. He said he had to leave the match even though he wanted to finish it and was told no, leaving Johnny Mundo to finish for their team and lose. Man, speaking of Paul London, I love that guy. I watched a promo for him on Lucha Underground. And he has, have you ever seen this? I'll show it to you after we stop rolling. There's a promo from Pro Wrestling Guerrilla with him and Daniel Bryan, and he's just making Daniel Bryan laugh the whole time. And it is seriously the fun. And I just got to thinking, I'm like, Brian Kendrick's in the WWE. I really hope that this Lucha Underground run with Paul London will help propel him back up. I don't know if he left on bad terms or what his story was, but he's such an interesting promo guy.
Yeah.
He's got the same way with Kendrick, how he's an interesting promo guy, kind of ahead of his time.
The thing what they're doing with London and Lucha Underground, I'm still trying to catch up, so I'm still halfway through season 2. I know, it looks crazy.
It looks really cool. Yeah.
They do some interesting stuff in Lucha Underground with their characters.
Yeah, they have more freedom there to do like interesting characters and stories.
Yeah.
Number 6. The Last Battle of Atlanta. Again.
Did we do a video on this? We did.
Yeah.
We did a recap.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did a Machinima recap.
Because for the longest time, this was like the Holy Grail match.
Right,
it was lost to time because it was broadcast on TBS on October 23rd, 1983. But it seemed like no one had the tape. No one had the master tape.
Yeah, the tape disappeared.
And so eventually, I guess after WWE, when they bought WCW's tape library, I'm sure it was just literally like a huge vault of tapes.
Yes.
So, you have to go through and you have to log everything and find out what's on each tape. So it was just this last year in 2016 that they discovered they actually had this tape in their vaults. And so they pretty quickly put it up on the network. You can watch it right now.
Yeah, yeah.
The quality's not the best.
And the funny thing, because it's like, is it one?
There's no commentary on it.
There's no commentary. I think the camera is just in a stationary position.
Yeah, and it's kind of far back.
And sometimes they zoom in, I think, a little bit.
Maybe a little
sometimes
bit,
they don't. But one of the things about the match is that like it was famously bloody. And the pictures, like the still images, which is until this past year, like you said, still images are all anybody had to go off of it. The still images look brutal.
Yeah, and
they are so bloody.
This is another match going back to the Magnum TA Tully Blanchard one, where it's so stiff and so awkward.
Yeah.
It looks real. It looks like two guys really beating the hell out of each other.
It's sloppy, like you said, stiff, and it looks like. And according to Scoop's notes here, these guys didn't really like each other outside the ring. Apparently, Sawyer didn't like anybody, and it was. It says that, and this is also the one where Paul Ellering is
suspended above the ring in a shark cage.
In a shark cage. So that's all this stuff with shark cages. They did it in the Authors of Pain match or the Takeover match.
The Dusty Tag Classic final.
Yeah, the Tag Classic final. Yeah, exactly. Where he was in the shark cage, and they're doing it now with Jericho in a shark cage. Yeah. So I don't know what low-level WWE writer is just obsessed with shark cages. No, what it is
Triple H discovered they had this match in the vault and has been watching it ad nauseum.
Over and over again. We got to do more shark cages.
But this match is allegedly the kind of the inspiration for the Hell in the Cell. Apparently HBK remembered this match and wanted to kind of emulate it with the Hell in the Cell.
Yeah.
His first Hell in the Cell match against The Undertaker, another match that could easily be on here because that gets bloody. HBK had a huge gash in his head from that match.
Yeah, again, Hell in a Cell, another thing you mentioned. Yeah, exactly. That was another bloody match.
Yeah, it was.
Let's see here.
Scoop says here, blood comes pretty early. If I remember correctly, it does. About 6 minutes in. It shows up in Tommy Rich? Tommy Rich's blonde hair. This is kind of one upside to all wrestlers having blonde hair in the 80s. Is that when they bled? Sort of like Ric Flair, whenever he bleeds.
Looked like he had a massive head wound.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked great. Yeah. And then, so part of the thing with the shark cage was when Paul Ellering, due to a pre-match stipulation, Ellering had to face Ole Anderson at the end of the match.
Oh, yeah.
And Ole beat his ass a little bit. But this is a cool match. Like, it's just fun to see the history of it. Like it was the lost thing. For so long.
It was the Holy Grail essentially for so long.
Yeah.
WWE had a blurb about it. In 3 decades since the match, tales of Rich and Sawyer's war had reached mythic proportions, in part because no footage of the match was thought to exist until now. Originally thought to be lost in time, complete video of the Steel Cage Showdown was discovered in the WWE vaults and made available to the public for the first time ever as part of the WWE Network's Hidden Gems collection. Mm-hmm. Highly recommend you check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an interesting piece of wrestling history.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Bloody.
Yes.
Brutal.
Bloody, and brutal.
Yes.
Number 5. Y2J Chris Jericho versus the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels at the Great American Bash 2008. Now, this is when Jericho was kind of doing his psycho, very slow talking.
This was after the WrestleMania match, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they had a really long feud.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to culminate at SummerSlam. But apparently, because this match is significant in its blood, in that this is the last time Vince McMahon allowed this to happen.
Well, that's not true. This is the reason that WWE is more or less banned blood for matches. There's been blood in matches since.
Yeah, same thing I said. Because the story here is both competitors felt that Shawn Michaels needed to draw a little bit of blood
for the story.
This needs a little bit of blood. So he begged Vince, and this comes from Talk Is Jericho podcast that HBK was on. He said he begged Vince to let him get a little bit of color above the eye.
Yeah,
and Vince reluctantly agreed.
Said, okay, just a little,
but there was a lot of blood that came out. Like Shawn Michaels' face looks like he was been blasted in the face with a shotgun.
Yeah,
like he looks like a freaking mess.
Yeah.
So when in the match, I'm trying to think when in the match this actually happened.
They showed a replay when we were watching a little bit ago. They're outside the ring and Jericho hits HBK with an elbow.
Okay, yeah.
And we didn't have the commentary on, so I didn't know if that's
okay. That
when,
could be,
at least in terms of the narrative.
Yeah.
Michael started bleeding, but that's what they were insinuating. That's what I was putting together.
Yeah.
But yeah, he, like we said earlier, he was bloody in that Bad Blood Hell in a Cell match against The Undertaker, but he might have been more bloody here.
Yeah,
this kept on coming. There's a shot where he's kind of leaned over.
Yeah.
You see his blood
and
dripping
you
from
see
his
it
head.
dripping from his head, yeah.
Just a ton of blood.
Yeah, he said the blow-off was supposed to be at SummerSlam for our angle, and one little detour was the first match we had when I beat you up so bad they had to call it. They had to call the match early.
Yeah.
Jericho to Michaels. Jericho said to Michaels, "You were bleeding. That was the last time Vince allowed blood in WWE."
I think now you have to kind of get special permission.
Yeah, I think. Well, apparently Vince cleared the Brock Lesnar Randy Orton thing.
Yeah, and wasn't there blood in one of the? Maybe not. The Lesnar Undertaker matches, but maybe not.
I know they drew blood.
Yeah,
and they both drew blood.
Oh yeah.
But I think that might have been the hard way. I don't think they. No, I think Brock intentionally like bladed or something. I don't know, but
because there was talk that he got in trouble or someone got in trouble for that match, right?
Oh, that could be. See, that's Vince not allowing stuff to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't. I didn't approve of that blood.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, HBK clarifies, for the record, I sincerely only meant to get a little, but I did it, and I hit that bad boy, and it was so awesome. So
he just loves to perform.
He does. I know. It's great. And of course, Hell in a Cell 1. What was the subtitle of what was that?
That was In Your House, Bad Blood.
That's right. Bad Blood.
Blood.
Yeah. Number 4.
Number four.
The Great Muta versus Hiroshi Hasi.
Now this match is historic because it. Did Scoopin mention who started the Muta scale?
No, he doesn't.
Okay. But anyways, someone established a scale.
Yeah.
To
wrestling fans
to rate the bloodiness of a match based on the bloodiness of this match.
Correct. So there's a great website that has a Muta scale that ranks matches versus this one, I guess.
Yeah.
Although it's all on that website, it gives this match a 0.8 on the Muta scale. So I'm not sure why.
So it's not the bloodiest match ever.
Why wouldn't this be 1? And then everything else would be 1 point or less than 1.
Because the mass transit incident exists.
Well, that would be like a 2.
Okay.
That'd be like a more. Like, I wouldn't think that this would be like the base. And there's stuff that's less and stuff that's more.
But after seeing a bit of this match and seeing the matches that follow on this list, I think are bloodier than this match was.
Right, but wouldn't that just mean there are more than 1?
1 might be the top. I don't
think it is, though, because I think I saw like a
1 might be complete Muta scale.
All right. Well, anyways,
it depends on, I guess, who created the Muta scale. I don't know.
I'm
trying to find out.
This is a December 1992 match It took place at the Battle Final event for New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is a very, very stiff match. It's difficult to I found one video of it online, and it's really, you can't really tell, but you can tell when there's blood because Muta's face is covered in crimson red. It is very, very bloody, and he keeps on bleeding, and it's brutal because you see Hasi keeps on acting like he's biting his head, and he spits out blood, chunks of blood is getting in his mustache. It's nasty.
That's weird. Everybody knows, or the Muta scale is a thing, but I can't, in a few minutes of research, can't pinpoint who created it.
Who invented Muta scale?
There you go. See, I didn't put that. I just put Muta scale.
Find out.
That's what I got too.
Let's see here.
Got all those entries.
Yep. Nope. No, I don't know.
So maybe it was just one of those things that popped into existence from time space after this match.
I think that's it. Yeah.
But it's a pretty bloody match.
Yep.
Pretty gross.
That's
especially when someone's eating another person's blood.
Yep.
It's pretty gross.
That's pretty much all we got. Number 3.
3.
Oh boy, Eddie Guerrero versus JBL Judgment Day 2004. Out of all the matches on this, besides number 1, this was the only one that I know of that I can tell that somebody really got messed up.
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero fainted backstage after this match because he lost so much blood.
He went to shock.
JBL loves these bloody matches. When JBL was champion, he participated in a lot of violent matches. I think he did the choking thing in this one too, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I swear I saw a couple JBL matches where he tried to choke people with various things, and I think this is one of them. In any event,
here, this is a great note from Scoop. Sorry to interrupt you. JBL hits Eddie hard with a steel chair out of nowhere, and it was planned for Eddie to blade. But Eddie hit an artery, and blood poured too much for quite a while. He's covered so quick in blood, you can tell it went wrong. Due to the amount he lost, Eddie went into shock during the match and supposedly felt the effects of that blade job for 2 weeks.
Jeez.
That's a lot of blood to lose.
This is a 23-minute match. It is, and it's brutal to watch. And they have, they made it on the network, I think it's due to the blood, this pay-per-view is often rated TVMA. It looks like a massacre, and if they had stopped this one due to blood, no one could have complained. But it went 23 minutes. They saw it through to the end.
Professionals.
In an interview for a WWE DVD, JBL said he thought for a second that Eddie might die that night and was concerned. He also apparently still has heat in El Paso with some fans due to this feud.
It's bloody.
And then a scoop note here. The ring is a mess with Eddie's blood as JBL hits his finisher, but the ref is still out, so JBL beats Brian Hebner in the back to wake him up. Lil Nate comes out to replace the unconscious ref, but he too gets knocked out, and you can tell Eddie is moving just a bit slower. JBL's blue trunks are stained with his blood now. They go back and forth with big moves until Eddie tries for a frog splash and misses badly. Let's see here. Eddie low kicks him and hits JBL with the title to get the DQ and keep the belt.
He beats him further after the bell rings. Hits him with a title belt. 2 chair shots and a frog splash, all while being in shock.
Yeah. Eddie Guerrero was a tough dude.
Yep.
He was great, man.
Yeah, he was.
God, that's a mess, though. At what point is Vince back there at Gorilla and he's like, that's a lot of blood. Let's stop the match now.
I know.
Eddie hit him with a belt, get DQ'd, and get back here, and let's get you stitched up pronto.
I know. Let's get you to the hospital, make sure you're okay.
It's really surprising. Let that go on. I mean, I don't know at what point in the match. I forget at what point in the match it looked like too much blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would think it'd be before 23 minutes.
You would think so.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. All right, number 2.
I have a story about this match, but continue.
This is amazing. I love this. This is great. Manny Fernandez versus Invader 3.
So I'm going to tell my story now. I guess it was probably early aughts. So Attitude Era. I was really into wrestling. So I would go on eBay.
Yeah.
And other, you used to be able to buy videotapes of wrestling stuff from magazines and stuff, like wrestling magazines.
Yeah.
So I bought one tape that was called Bloodiest Matches in Wrestling or something like this. And by and large, the matches on this tape were not the bloodiest matches in wrestling. So I got that one, and I got a Cactus Jack deathmatch compilation. So at the very end of this tape was this match.
Okay, yeah.
And so you're watching this match. It's pretty basic. And then Invader 3 is on the mat, Manny Fernandez scales the turnbuckle top rope, drops a knee, and then suddenly Invader 3 is vomiting blood all over the ring. He's laying on his back, and blood is just flying everywhere. And then Manny Fernandez gets back on the top rope, gives him another knee. More blood everywhere. He does it like 3 or 4 times until people come out and break it up.
Yeah.
But by this point, Invader 3 is just covered in blood, and he's laying on the mat still.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but there's some debate as to whether that spot was real or not.
That had to have been because even according to Scoop's notes here, and this is what I read too, that some have claimed that Invader 3 drank a mixture of vodka and pig's blood to get the desired effect.
Yeah.
This looked like he started vomiting that to give that effect.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. I've never seen anybody vomit that volume of blood.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. This looked like somebody vomiting liquid.
It looks like, like someone must have punctured someone's stomach.
Yeah.
And then like half the blood from their entire body was promptly hurled up their esophagus and through his mouth.
But this had to have been part of the deal, because if that look, I know this is the territory where Bruiser Brody legit got killed.
And Manny Fernandez was apparently good friends with Bruiser Brody.
However, I can't believe for a second, but this is number one, this is Invader 3.
Yeah.
So it's not Invader 1.
Yeah.
But I can't believe for a second that Manny Fernandez would look back, see all that blood, and because he continues like nothing's happening.
Yeah.
He acts like nothing is happening. So he just hops back up to the top rope and delivers some more splashes. And I can't believe that he wouldn't look back and at least pause and be like, Ref, should we stop this?
Yeah.
Like, I know this is a territory where, some of the rules don't apply, but that guy just threw up a lot of blood.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be near him.
Yeah.
But he keeps on going and keeps on going. According to Scoop's note here, in an interview with Bill Apter, Fernandez said that it was not a work, but vengeance for Brody. But I don't know. That just sounds like he's perpetuating the myth.
But he also says here, many fans go back and forth on whether this was intentional or real. But it's hard to believe there wasn't something there. Many question, of course, why he go after Invader number 3 instead of Invader number 1, who is the one who killed Bruiser Brody, allegedly. As well, Fernandez worked in WWC in Puerto Rico until 1991, and this happened in 1989. So 2 years with seemingly little to no retribution.
Yeah.
So if he went out of his way to, like break someone's rib and puncture a lung and make someone vomit up several pints of blood.
I've never seen in any sport. I've never seen an injury where somebody literally just starts vomiting up gallons of blood.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's real. I think it's a dude who drank vodka and pig's blood. Number one, that story sounds silly enough to be real. Like, who just comes up with vodka and pig's blood?
I know.
I think that's what happened here. It looked amazing.
It's disgusting.
It looked great. We have to do a video on it at some point.
I don't have the tape anymore, though.
Well, AgeGate it. It's online.
No, I know, but it'd be kind of funny here if we popped it into the VCR.
It would be a lot funnier if we did that. But this was it's great. It's
disgusting.
I guarantee you it is full.
Oh yeah, it's fully fake. But here I am in 2001 watching this after like an hour and a half of fairly mundane bloody wrestling.
Yeah.
And see this, and I'm just shocked.
Everything is more shocking on VHS. Number one. The mass transit incident in ECW.
Oh, man.
It's hard to call this a match, but this was actually at an ECW house show on 11/23/96. Now, for those of you who don't know what the mass transit incident is, it's fascinating. So it was a house show, and the match was supposed to be the Gangstas, New Jack and Mustafa
against Devon, Dudley, and Axel Rotten.
Axel Rotten, that's right. Devon or Axel was a no-show.
Axel
was a no-show. They needed somebody to step in for him. So this kid named Eric Koulas stepped up to Paul Heyman and said he would do it. And Paul Heyman said, "How old are you?" And he said, "I'm legal. I'm old enough," which was a lie because he was 17.
Yeah.
He also said, "What kind of wrestling training do you have?" And he says, "Plenty," which was a lie.
He said Killer Kowalski trained him, right?
And he did not. And he said he was 23. And so he asked New Jack, because they wanted him to bleed, and he asked New Jack to blade him because he didn't want to do it himself. He didn't know how to do it himself. He says, Scoop's notes here, most wrestlers don't like others doing their blade jobs unless they really trust them. And this might be why, as New Jack admitted to deliberately cutting too deep.
New Jack severed 2 of the mass transit's arteries.
Yeah, so basically what happened is New Jack gets in there and fucks the kid up big time. Like, there's footage of it. He actually had the whole match online, and apparently it's been taken down since the last year, because I think I saw it sometime in the last 12 months, I thought. Can't find it now. You can find like little bits and pieces of it. But anyways, long story short, New Jack fucks this guy up royally, takes a cheese cutter to his head, stabs him in the head, in the forehead with a fork, gets up and does a splash on him with a chair to the head from the top rope. And it's completely obvious that New Jack is relishing all this. I mean, he's even said that once he realized that Koulas had lied, then he felt freedom to do whatever he wanted. And it's obvious. And the kid's head was like, you can see there's like one close-up where you can literally just see it spurting
like
out.
Every time his heart would pound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You would see blood squirt out of his forehead.
Yeah. So let's see here. The kid's dad, you can hear him in the background, in the footage I saw, saying, just stop the match. He's only a kid. He's only 17. Eventually, they did stop the match.
You said there's a spot where an EMT or something comes in the ring, right?
Well, let's see here. According to Scoop's notes here, I'm trying to piece together what the sequence of events is, but I think Scoops has it here. He lost so much blood that he passed out, and his dad had to yell for somebody to ring the bell and stop the match, that his son was only 17. The gangsters continued to work him over, though, and New Jack grabbed a mic and said he didn't care if the kid lived or died. At that point, I think I remember when the EMT, it was a female EMT, she came in, and she was like, just putting gauze on him.
Trying to put pressure on the wound.
Trying to put pressure on him. So there was a huge fallout from this.
Yes.
For one thing, Paul Heyman basically had to beg the pay-per-view provider to continue to run ECW shows because of this incident.
Yeah.
New Jack ended up getting charged with aggravated assault, but he was acquitted because, the kid lied about stuff.
Yeah.
Koulas's father tried to sue New Jack and ECW separately later, but they fell short.
Again, because Eric Koulas lied.
Exactly. He later died in 2002 due to complications with gastric bypass surgery. The surgery was to help with eating disorders. Koulas's father said that his eating disorder stemmed from result from trauma from New Jack and the incident. But at 17, he was 400 pounds. Mm-hmm. He was huge. Mm-hmm. He was massive. So I don't know about that. The death led to an attempt at another unsuccessful lawsuit. Like I'm sure that this incident, probably didn't. But your kid's 17. You're a dad. You took him to an ECW show, and you let him do this.
I know.
That's not good, man.
No.
That's bad.
Yeah. According to the Rise and Fall of ECW book, Tommy Dreamer went with the medic team as they carried Koulas out to comfort him, who was still trying to give the crowd the middle finger to stay in character.
Yeah. So that was good for him. But this was just it's just gnarly. Like, of all the people in the world to say, hey, can you cut me? Like, why didn't you go to Devon? Or no, he was teaming with Devon.
Yeah.
Even Mustafa. Why New Jack? I don't know. It was pretty brutal. It was probably the most infamous incident. I mean, the only other bloody incident I can think of really was Sid and Arn Anderson in their scissors match.
But that wasn't in a wrestling ring.
No, it wasn't. It was in a hotel hallway.
Yeah.
And literally, that was an I Quit match because Arn Anderson literally said, "Stop or you're going to kill me."
Yeah.
And Sid did stop, so good for him. Anyways, until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.